Question number 3. Question number 3. A tunnel is made along a chord. A tunnel is made along a chord inside the earth, and a ball is released in it. And a ball is released in it. Released in it. What will be the time period of oscillation of the ball? Option A, 2 pi root r by 2g, capital R by 2g. Option B, 2 pi root r by g. Option C, 2 pi root over of 2r by g. Option D, pi root r by g. Pi root r by g.
Sir, can you explain the question?
The tunnel is made along the earth, inside the earth, and a ball is released in it, like this. See, this is earth, and some tunnel is made through it. Means these two portions are now open. Okay. Now, from this portion, if you drop a particle, it will not go out from outside. You cannot say that I will take a ball and drop it through a tunnel, in this type of tunnel, from one side of the earth, and it will come to other side of the earth. That is not possible, because this is coming due to Earth's gravity, and Earth's gravity is pulling this mass, small ball, towards the center. So it is coming, its velocity is increasing, it comes to the center and then crosses the center due to inertia, and immediately when it crosses the center, gravity changes the direction. Because this is the center, gravity is previously pulling it here. Now, as the particle crosses this point, gravity pulls it towards the center. Means gravity is behaving like a restoring force, and as a result, the particle starts to oscillate within that tunnel. Option no. D. This is the standard answer. It is 2 pi root r by g. It is the time period. Whenever a tunnel is prepared through earth, then the body oscillating in that tunnel having time period of oscillation 2 pi root r by g, where r is the radius of the earth. You can also consider that the tunnel is not passing through the center. You may consider that the tunnel is passing like this. Still, it will perform SHM, because if the particle is here, the force on the particle is along this direction, and it has a component towards the center. Similarly, when this passes this point, immediately the force is changing the direction. Now, it has a component along this direction and behaving like restoring force. The tunnel may pass along the diameter, tunnel may pass along any of the chord, but it will oscillate harmonically. Okay, question number 2. Question number 2. The equations of two SHMs, the equations of two SHMs are x equal to capital A sin omega t and y equal to capital A sin 2 omega t. Capital A sin 2 omega t means first one is x equal to A sin omega t, second one is y equal to A sin 2 omega t. So first SHM is along x axis, second SHM is along y axis. If they act on a particle simultaneously, then find the trajectory of the particle. No option, because from the option you can say this is the answer. A similar problem we have solved yesterday, that is coming an elliptical path, but it will not come in that type, it is a different type of equation given. So procedure is same, you have to eliminate t. X equal to A sin omega t. Okay. Sorry, A cos sin omega t. X. Y equal to A sin 2 omega t. Y by A, that is equal to 2 sin omega t cos omega t. Then y square by A square equal to 4 sin square omega t into 1 minus sin square omega t. Then y square by A square equal to sin omega t means x by A, so it is 4 x square by A square 1 minus x square by A square. So the equation is y square equal to 4x square into 1 minus x square by x. This is the solution. That cos omega t, you have to take cos square omega t such that we can replace it by 1 minus sin square omega t, so that we can put the value of sin omega t from first equation. Okay. A cylindrical cork of height h, small h, a cylindrical cork of height small h is floating in a liquid, in half immersed condition, means half of the length h by 2 is inside the liquid, remaining half outside. If it is slightly pushed from the top, if it is slightly pushed from the top inside the liquid and released, then find out its time period of small oscillation, means SHM. Then find out the time period of its small oscillation. Small oscillation and SHM, these terminologies are same. Because if you push the cork slightly and release, then it will perform simple harmonic motion. You have to find out that time period. But only H is given in the problem. So in terms of H and other things can be only constant, G. The answer will come. So that means density should be eliminated. How? Nothing is said about density directly in the problem. But there is a way to eliminate density. Density of the liquid, density of the cork, this will actually come in the calculation and you have to eliminate that. This is the cylindrical form. Floating means net force is 0. Floating means net weight of the object is 0. So that's why its weight is acting down and buoyant force of water is acting on it in the upward direction, and both of these forces balances each other. That's why floating body is always weightless. So from that condition, you can write V equal to W. Let us consider density of the material of the cork is rho and density of the liquid is considered as sigma. Density of the liquid considered as sigma. So half of the portion is immersed. Let us consider that height of the cork is already present in the problem, h. And we consider area of cross section is A. So half of the volume means AH by 2 into density of the liquid into G, that is the buoyant force. Buoyant force means volume that is immersed, because equal volume of fluid will be displaced. So volume immersed will be AH by 2, density of the fluid into G. This will give you the buoyant force. Now W means mg. M means total volume into density. Total volume is AH. Density is rho into G. That is mg. This is M. This is G. That is weight. So from this AH, G, G cancelled. So we got sigma equal to 2 rho. So this relation we have to use in the final step. This is the relation between the density. Because since it is floating in half immersed condition, from that you can find a relationship between density of the liquid and the density of the cork. Okay. Now the second part of the problem comes when you push slightly from the top and it will perform SHM. Now I will draw it here. When you push from the top, what will happen? This will happen. that is more volume of the cylinder is now immersed in liquid when you push from the top. Okay, more volume is immersed. Now when you release, what happens? So when more volume is immersed, which force increases? The buoyant force increases, because displaced fluids amount will increase, so the buoyant force will increase. So this increased buoyant force will act in the upward direction when you take away your hand. Okay, so this buoyant force will try to push the object upward. Means it is behaving like restoring force, because equilibrium position is that when midpoint is just on the liquid surface, that is the equilibrium. So you disturb it from the equilibrium, and now the excess buoyant force tries to move it towards the equilibrium. That means it is behaving like restoring force. From this restoring force we have to calculate. Okay. So now let us consider that this is the midpoint of the cylinder. So how much it is displaced from the equilibrium position by an amount, say x. So what is the excess buoyant force? Excess buoyant force is how much new volume is immersed, Ax. Area of cross section is A, and extra distance pushed inside is x. So the extra volume that is immersed in the liquid is now Ax. Now Ax into sigma, density of the fluid. This is the mass of the displaced fluid, extra displaced fluid, into G will give you the excess buoyant force. Write it, excess buoyant force, that is B excess. Now this excess buoyant force will act in the upward direction to move it towards the equilibrium. Equilibrium means half immersed condition. Clear? So excess buoyant force is behaving like restoring force. So from Newton's law you can write MA, that is equal to minus AX sigma G. Since it is restoring, the minus sign will come. Okay. Now M means mass of the entire cylinder. Mass of the entire cylinder substitute. It will be AH rho. AH rho into A. Okay. This is equal to minus AX sigma. Now sigma we have already calculated. It is 2 rho into G. Rho cancel, A cancel, rho cancel, A cancel. So acceleration will become minus 2G by H into X. It's an SHM because A is proportional to X with a minus sign. Then this part is omega square. So omega equal to root over of 2G by H. So time period of oscillation T equal to 2 pi by omega H by 2G. First part you understood? It is given in, see the question. It is mentioned that the cylinder is immersed, cork is immersed in half immersed, and it is in equilibrium because floating means equilibrium, net force 0. So net force 0 in the equation means there is weight, there is something to balance weight. So which can balance weight? Buoyant force. So we equate buoyant force equal to weight because it is in floating condition. Okay. Now, I calculate the buoyant force. How much volume is immersed? Half. So half volume means AH by 2. So that volume is taken. Density of the liquid into G. This is the buoyant force. Now, weight means entire cylinder's mass into G. Mass of the entire cylinder means volume of the entire cylinder into its density into G. So from this I get a relationship between density of the liquid and density of the cork. That is sigma equal to 2. Now it is in equilibrium. Now you push a little bit from the top. So some more portion is now immersed. So which force increases? Will the weight increase or will the buoyant force increase? Then buoyant force will increase because weight means gravitational pull. That is not increasing. But since it is going more into the liquid, the buoyant force will increase because displaced volume, fluid's volume will increase. Now we consider that the extra displacement inside the liquid will become X. So some extra buoyant force will be produced. So that buoyant force will be produced due to the excess volume inside the liquid. So if you push a cylinder X distance inside, then how much volume is going inside? A base area into X. So we consider that AX is the extra volume that is now going inside the liquid. Into sigma into G give you the extra buoyant force. So that's why I write it BXS. Now when you remove your hand from the top, this extra buoyant force will push the cork upward. So that's why the cork will try to move towards its equilibrium position. And as a result, if a force pushes the object towards the equilibrium, then it is the restoring force, and as a result the oscillation starts. Okay, so from this I write that this extra force will be equal to mass into acceleration according to second law. Since it is restoring, I put the minus. Now mass of the entire cork, that is volume of the entire cork into its density. From that I substitute that relation here for sigma and calculate A. Now for SHM we know A equal to minus omega square x. Comparing that, the potential energy of a long spring, the potential energy of a spring when stretched by 2 centimeter is U. Is U. The potential energy of a spring when stretched by 2 centimeter is U. If the spring is stretched by 8 centimeter, if the spring is stretched by 8 centimeter, what will be its potential energy? Just use U equal to half kx square. Potential energy equal to half kx square. From that you can solve. This one is actually very easy problem. U equal to half kx square. Second time you can consider U prime equal to half k x prime square. So dividing these two will give you U prime by U will be x prime by x whole square. X prime is already given 8 and x equal to 2. So the answer will be 16U. Next question, question number 16. A simple harmonic oscillator consists of a particle. A simple harmonic oscillator consists of a particle of mass m and an ideal spring with force constant k. Ideal spring with force constants k. The particle oscillates the particle oscillates with time period capital T if the spring is cut into two equal parts. If the spring is cut into two equal parts. And now one part oscillates with the same particle, and now one part oscillates with the same particle. Then what will be the time period? Whenever a spring is cut into two pieces, then spring constant, see previously the spring is under the force mg, now it is under the same force mg. So if force remains constant, I can say that F equal to initially KL normally, if F is the length of the spring. Then if F is constant, KL, this product is constant, means K proportional to 1 by L. So if the length of the spring is decreased, then spring constant will increase. So here length is half, so spring constant will be twice. So new spring constant will be K prime. K prime will be equal to 2 times K. Okay, since the length is half, spring constant will be twice. Then normally we know T equal to 2 pi root m by K. Now it is T prime, it is 2 pi root m by K prime. K prime means 2K. That will be T by root 2. The spring constant will be 1 by root 2 times of the time period will be 1 by root 2 times of the previous time period. Next chapter, write down wave motion. Set one question. Question number 3. A transverse wave is represented by y equal to capital A sin omega t minus kx, for what value of wavelength is the wave velocity equal to the maximum particle velocity. For what value of wavelength is the wave velocity equal to the maximum particle velocity? Option A, pi capital A by 2. Option B, pi capital A. Option C, 2 pi capital A. Option D, capital A. See, wave equation is given y equal to A sin omega t minus kx. Okay. Now, if you set this entire argument equal to 0, then omega t minus kx will be equal to 0. and from that you have a relation x by t equal to omega by t. That is the wave velocity. So wave velocity v wave, that is equal to omega by k, and wave is propagating with constant velocity. Now if you differentiate this equation with respect to time, just differentiate and calculate this one. Del y del t. Calculate. Del y del means it's a partial derivative. That's why I write del. Means while you are taking the derivative with respect to time, consider x as a constant. Calculate the derivative and tell me what is coming. Del y del t equal to a is there. Sine of this, its derivative will be cosine omega t minus. Now this part's derivative you have to calculate. That is omega with respect to time. This part is behaving like constant because we are taking partial derivative with respect to t. So only omega will come. Don't write many terms in the derivative. Write only the terms that is coming. So a is a constant. Sine of omega t minus kx, its derivative will be cos omega t minus kx. But we are differentiating with respect to time. But the argument is omega t minus kx. So we have to calculate the derivative of the argument and multiply. This is coming from the chain rule. So its derivative will be omega with respect to time, and this part will become constant since we are considering the derivative, partial derivative with respect to t. So x remain constant. See, you cannot write total derivative dy dt because in that case if you calculate the derivative then this term will become k dx dt. So this is the difference between partial derivative and ordinary derivative. Because ordinary derivative means you have to take dx dt also, k dx dt. But partial means except t other variables will become constant. So it will be omega a cos omega t minus kx. Now this quantity is called the particle velocity because particle in the transverse wave are vibrating in y direction. Wave is propagating along the x direction. So this is Vp. That is omega a cos omega t minus kx. Now, what is the maximum particle velocity? Vp maximum value. Maximum value means when cosine function has its maximum value, that is plus 1. Okay. Now according to the problem, it is said that maximum particle velocity and wave velocity are equal. Means this Vp max should be equal to Vw according to the problem. Means wave velocity equal to the maximum particle velocity that is required in the problem. So now put it will be omega a equal to omega by k. Omega cancel. A. K means 2 pi by lambda. So 1 by 2 pi by lambda means lambda by 2 pi. So lambda equal to 2 pi capital E. That is the answer. So all these things that I have calculated, that is not required. If you can remember directly that particle velocity will, maximum particle velocity will be omega a. Directly write that step and calculate. But if you forget, then from the equation you have to differentiate and find out what is the maximum particle velocity. Write down question number 21. The equation of a stationary wave is y equal to 0.8 cos pi x by 20, 0.8 cos pi x by 20 into sine pi x by 20, after that bracket close, then sine 200 pi t, y equal to 0.8 cos pi x by 20 into sine 200 pi t. Centimeter, unit is given centimeter. The separation between two consecutive nodes will be, separation between two consecutive nodes will be option A 20 centimeter, option B 10 centimeter, option C 40 centimeter, option D 30 centimeter.
Can you repeat, sir?
Options
Yes, sir.
20, 10, 40, 30. 20, 10, 40, 30. See, what is the equation of a stationary wave? Check in your book, in your copy, in your class notes, linear notes, wherever, and tell me what is the equation of a stationary wave. Tell me only the equation of a stationary wave. What is the equation of a stationary wave? So it will come as y equal to 2a sin omega t cos kx or sin kx cos omega t, whatever. Sin omega t, say cos kx, like this. This is the equation of a stationary wave. Don't say that, sir, we have never noticed a wave become stationary. Okay. Now compare this equation. In the sine function, it is pi t, 200 pi t. There is omega t. From omega, I cannot find the value of lambda. I cannot find the value of lambda. Because from omega, I can find the value of capital T, that is time period. Okay. Then, cos kx. Here is the term cos kx. So what is coefficient of x in this equation?
Pi by 20.
Pi by 20. Here coefficient of x is k. So we can write k equal to pi by 20. And k means wave number. That is 2 pi by lambda. So write down 2 pi by lambda. That is equal to pi by 20. So lambda will be 40 centimeter. Now you have to find out the distance between two consecutive nodes. Two consecutive nodes differ by half of lambda. So the answer is 20 centimeter. Distance between two successive node or two successive antinode is lambda by 2. So the answer is lambda by 2, that is 20 centimeter. Question number 26. An organ pipe an open organ pipe. An open organ pipe produced 5 beats per second. 5 beats per second when vibrated with a source of frequency. When vibrated with a source of frequency. When vibrated with a source of frequency 200 Hz in its fundamental mode. In its fundamental mode. An organ pipe, an open organ pipe produced 5 beats per second when vibrated with a source of frequency. When vibrated with a source of frequency 200 Hz in its fundamental mode. The second harmonic of the same pipe, the second harmonic of the same pipe produces 10 beats per second. 10 beats per second with a source of frequency 420 Hz. Hz. The fundamental frequency of the pipe is option A 195 Hz, option B 205 Hz, option C 190 Hz, option D 210 Hz. See, let us consider that the fundamental frequency of the open organ pipe is N. So I can write when sounds with a frequency source of 200 Hz, it produces 5 beats. So N should be like this, 200 plus minus 5. So N can be 195 Hz or 205 Hz. But we cannot decide from that what is the value of N. For that, the next equation is required. Next set of information is required. It is said that its second mode of vibration, open organ pipe's second mode of vibration is 2N. If it is closed, then it will be 3N. So next mode of vibration means it is 2N. It sounds with a 420 Hz source and produces 10 beats per second. So from that we can write 200 to N equal to how much? From that calculate. It will be either 430 or 410. Accordingly, you can write N will be equal to 205 or 250. So which one is common? So the frequency of the organ pipe is, open pipe fundamental frequency is 205 Hz. Because 205 Hz will satisfy both the equation, first case and second case, both. So from the first case we cannot decide because bit frequency means difference of the frequency. Whichever is higher, that is not mentioned in the bit. So first it may be 195, it may be 205. Second case you can consider, you find either 205 or 250. So the common case between both is the answer. That is 205 Hz. Question number 27. The fundamental frequency of a closed pipe is 220 Hz. 220 Hz. If 1/4 of the pipe is filled with water, 1/4 of the pipe is filled with water, the frequency of the first overtone of the pipe will now be, frequency of the first overtone of the pipe will now be option A 220 Hz, option B 440 Hz, option C 880 Hz, option D 1760 Hz. The fundamental frequency of a closed organ pipe is 220 Hz. Okay. If 1/4 of the pipe is filled with water, the frequency of the first overtone of the pipe now becomes, frequency of the first overtone of the pipe now becomes 220 Hz, 440 Hz, 880 Hz, 1760 Hz. Fundamental frequency in open organ pipe N equal to V by 4L. Okay. Now it is 1/4 of the pipe is filled with water. So what is the length of the air column of the pipe now? 3L by 4. So the new fundamental frequency will be changed. So it will be new fundamental frequency N prime, that will be 3 by 4 into, now L is changed to 3L by 4. So it will be V by 3L. Okay. Now first overtone means 3 times fundamental frequency for closed pipe, because 1 and then 3, then 5. So first overtone frequency is, say, N1 prime, that will be equal to 3 times N prime, that is V by L. Okay. For this one, just multiply. So new N1 prime will be 3 N prime. So it will be V by L, but V by L is basically 4 times N. So you can write it is 4 times N. N is given 220, so it will become 880 Hz. So initially when the length of the pipe is L, then N equal to V by 4L. Then I consider that 1/4 of the part is filled with water, then remaining length of air column will be 3L by 4. So that we can consider that the length of the pipe is changed. Length of the pipe changed to V by 4L is this fundamental frequency. So fundamental frequency will now become N prime. So this will become V by 4. Now new length is length of the air column, that is 3L by 4. And then we get V by 3L. So corresponding to this, the first overtone will be 3 times the fundamental frequency. So N1 prime will be 3 times N prime. So 3 times n prime means V by L. Now from the first equation we know V by L equal to 4n. So 4n, n is given 220, so it will become 880 Hz. Okay. Question number 29. The fundamental frequency of a closed organ pipe. Fundamental frequency of a closed organ pipe of length 20 centimeter. Of length 20 centimeter is equal to the second overtone of an open organ pipe. Second overtone of an open organ pipe. What is the length of the open organ pipe? What is the length of the open organ pipe? Option A 80 centimeter, option B 100 centimeter, option C 120 centimeter, option D 140 centimeter. NC equal to 3 times N0. NO, not N0, NO. So this lengths are also, this is for open pipe, this is for closed pipe. So NC can be written as V by 4LC, and this is 3V by 2L, 8LO. Okay, I substitute NO here, so it will be 3V by 8LO. 3 times, so it will be 3V by 2L. Okay, so V cancels, this cancels, so you can write NO equal to 2 times LC. Sorry, 2 into 3, they are 6. 6 times LC. Now this is given 20, so this one will be 120. I consider the open organ pipe length as NO and closed LO and closed organ pipe's length LC. Similarly, the fundamental frequencies are considered NO and LC. And according to the problem, NC equal to 3 times NO, that is fundamental frequency of the closed organ pipe equal to second overtone of the open pipe. Second overtone means third harmonic. So equate them, and from this you will get the relation between the two lengths, and now closed organ pipe length is given, so you have to find the length of the open organ pipe. Done? Okay. Ask you one question. That is, this is the ceiling of a room, and from which a long string is hanged. Long string is hanged from the ceiling. This string is of mass m and total length L. Here, a transverse wave is produced by giving a certain jerk to the string. Like this, a transverse wave is produced, and this wave is propagating towards to the top of the ceiling. Okay, the velocity of the transverse wave we know, that is equal to root over of t by, say, mu, where mu is mass per unit length. Mass per unit length, that is mu equal to m by L. Mass per unit length is given constant. How long the wave will take to reach to the top? How long the wave will take to reach to the top? The length is L. You are producing a certain jerk like this, such that this wave propagates, transverse wave like this. How much time this wave will take to reach to the top? Distance travel equal to speed into time. You cannot use distance travel equal to speed into time. Why? This is a very fundamental question. Think fundamentally. Don't try to grab formula from here and there, and don't try to tell me the answer, because this is a fundamental question. If you miss some fundamental logic, then from no formula you cannot find the answer. The question is that, can we use simply distance travel equal to speed into time? Then L length is covered. with velocity v in time t, then t equal to L by v. We cannot use this equation here. Why? Don't say that gravity will pull the wave. Don't think from the perspective of the wave chapter only. Think it from the concept of mechanics that you have already solved. In Newton's laws of motion, you read many things. It is related to one of those topics. The problem lies here. This tension is no more constant because the string has mass. In the Newtonian mechanics, when you solve the problem, you consider tension throughout the string remains same by considering the massless string. But here mass is given, so the tension will vary throughout the string according to its length. So since it is a variable speed, so you cannot apply the formula distance traveled equal to speed into time directly, you have to integrate by writing t as a function of x or function of distance. Suppose from this point the particle travels wave travels a distance x. Then from that, for that you have to consider t, because at different points tension will be different, because as the wave moves up, the tension is for the remaining length. So tension for the remaining length will change. The length will change as the wave moves up. And since the string has now mass, then you cannot consider it as that the tension is constant throughout the string. So tension is variable. So in case of variable tension, this is variable. So this quantity is also variable. So it is moving with a variable velocity. Okay, though gravity is not affecting this motion, this is moving with a variable velocity because the tension actually changes from different point to point. So that's why you cannot solve this problem by considering only this distance traveled equal to speed. Now how to find it? Let us consider that you moved up to this point. So from the bottom, this length is x. So what is the remaining length? Is L minus. Remaining length is L minus x. Now consider this part of the length separately. This x length of the string taken separately. Now it is acted upon by the string is in vertical equilibrium. There is no vertical movement of the string. So this part is feeling a force due to gravity. So gravity pulls this mass of the string downward. Okay, and this part exerts a tension force on the string. Gravity pulls it down and this part exerts a force upward. So what is the gravity's force? Gravity's force is mass per unit length mu into x into g. This length is x, mass per unit length is considered mu. So what is the mass of this length? Mu x into g will give us weight. So until these two forces are equal, the string cannot be in vertical equilibrium. Vertical equilibrium means net force along the vertical direction will be balanced. So from this we can write T equal to mu x g. T equal to mu x g. Okay. Then we consider that after covering distance x, wave covers a further distance dx. Wave covers a further distance dx. Then for this small part we can only write dx equal to v dt. For entire length you cannot use. Dx equal to v dt. Then this is dx. Now v we can already find v equal to root over of t by m. But what is t? Mu xg by mu. So it will be xg. So dt will be equal to dx by root over of gx. So entire time taken is t, that is equal to 1 by root g will come out, and this is root x. Root x means x to the in the bottom. That means x to the power minus half dx. Integration is from 0 to L. That is 1 by root g. It will be x to the power minus half plus 1 by minus half plus 1. Means x to the power half by half. So this half will come out. So it will become t equal to 2 by root g, and upper limit is L to the power half, lower limit is 0. So it will be L to the power half means root L. So the answer is 2 root L by g. Don't think it is the time period of pendulum. There is no pi. And in case of wave motion, you cannot consider massless stream, because the transverse wave, this wave propagating due to a jerk is a mechanical wave, and mechanical wave requires a medium for propagation. So massless stream is not a medium such that you can say that wave can propagate through that. So since this is proportional to x, means at this point, bottom point, if you are at the bottom point of the stream, what is tension? Nothing, 0. As you are moving up, the remaining length increases. As the length increases, weight increases. So when we will reach to the top, the tension is maximum, that is equal to the total weight of the wire. So total weight of the spring. If you are at midpoint, then tension will be half of the weight of the string. So at different point tension will vary. So variable, since this is variable tension, D is variable. So you cannot calculate over a longer length by considering that D is constant. You have to equate it. How many of integration is done? Some of them completed integration. Definite, indefinite integral.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Yes.
Yes. Then calculate. See, using a direct integration, you cannot solve.
Yes.
If you integrate, then you cannot solve this problem. You require integration by parts. 5 parts is required. No substitution will work because there are different types of functions. Product of two different types. One is exponential, another is trigonometric. So only integration by parts, and then you have to use the property. From the property you can find. If there are two functions, that is integral of first function, then you have to choose the first function and second function accordingly. Generally, it is said that first function is taken such function whose derivative after some time will be 0, and second function can be any function. So first function in this particular formula of the by parts, first function's derivative is calculated, second function's integration is calculated. And normally it is considered that the first function will be producing 0 derivative after certain successive differentiation. But in this problem, e to the power x and sin x, whatever be you choose as the first function, none of the derivatives will become 0 after successive 2 to 3 derivatives. Because both functions are repeating. Because if you calculate the derivative of e to the power x, it will never produce 0. If you calculate the derivative of sin x, it will never produce 0, whatever be the order of the derivatives. So that's why you have to apply the property. Property means I is there, somehow something into I is minus I is again coming. So I plus I to I, from that value of integral I can be calculated. And the formula for this by parts is, if there is an integral of first function, second function dx, then it is first function into integral of the second function minus derivative of the first function into integral of the second function, entire integral.